Hello and welcome to The Life You're Made For. I'm your host, Dr. Heather Pinney. Often our world feels reactive, confusing, and chaotic. On this show, we're going to slow down together. Take a breath, listen, and learn. We'll be joined in conversations with influential thinkers who will help us make new connections, understand our unique potential, check the beliefs we hold, and learn how to overcome unexpected challenges. I know that each and every one of us holds our own inner clarity, confidence, and courage, what I call 3C living and leading. So let's go after it together. I'm cheering you on. Hello, everyone. It is so good to be back. It has been a while. I got to take my wonderful sabbatical off in July and coming back with so many great ideas. So we're going to kick off this season, this new podcast season, on this idea of leaders who bring their whole selves to leadership. And this is something that has been an ongoing conversation with so many people I've had. But more importantly, the way I usually start my day is with this latte on my couch in what we call the R&R room with my favorite person, longtime friend, dear husband. And we both sit there and sip our lattes and we start talking about whatever is on our mind. He owns his own company and consulting. I own mine. And so we always have talks about everything from spiritual, faith stuff, our kids, work, leadership, whatever we're reading. And we just have beautiful times in the morning. Now, I will say this is because after empty nest here. This is after kids. So I asked Darren to be on my show today to kick off our season because this is something that we've actually been discussing quite a bit. And he's a leader that I have watched for a long time. And the idea of bringing your whole self to leadership is something that we have talked quite a bit about. And it's what we've noticed in other leaders that we admire. And it's something that we've aspired to be, is really the ones that not only are faithful and stay the course, but they know how to stay the course and be authentic throughout the duration of their leadership. So, Darren, welcome and thanks for helping me kick off our podcast season.
Oh, man, I'm excited for you. It's going to be a great season. A lot of good topics.
Yeah, it really is. We've been discussing a lot of them. One of the things that I have gotten to admire about Darren over the years, and gosh, we're going on 32 years, 33 years of marriage?
Yeah, 32.
32, okay. So one of the things I've really admired about Darren is his authenticity. And I'm laughing because sometimes I'm like, ooh, that might be a bit authentic. You know, maybe that's a little too real. But I have been freed up in my own leadership so many times of him just saying, just be yourself, Head, just be yourself. And growing up in more of an environment where, yes, authenticity was always valued, but there's a little bit more of that polished image, what we call, and realizing it's just not what people want. It's not who we want to be. Certainly we want to be put together and certainly want to be articulate and confident, but to be able to show up and have that whole sense of self in an authentic way is something that I've watched Darren do as everything in his work, philanthropic work, director of advancement at a university, moving on into working with the CDA, California Dental Association, in the philanthropic advancement world, and then moving on into open his own consulting world, where now he's doing estate planning. And I know, Darren, I'm giving all the stuff of what you do, which is not your favorite because you like talking about who you are and what you're about, and we will get there. But I do want to say he's got street cred in the work that he's done, and he's now got really a nationwide reputation in estate planning for philanthropic nonprofits. And more importantly, I really like how he engages with people. It doesn't matter if there's someone with millions and millions of assets sitting in front of him or, you know, just a couple thousand. He treats everybody the same way, values every person in front of them, and wants to do everything he can to serve them, not just in who they are and what they're about, but to be able to help them understand what it is that they want to be leaving behind and the legacy they want to leave. So that's my introduction around Darren, and that's why I've asked him to join. But Darren, I'll pass the ball to you. Tell us a little bit about what makes you the leader that you are.
Well, first of all, thanks for your comments. You are very kind and very generous with your comments, and I could reciprocate and just say, yeah, I love that we're talking about this because I've seen you do the same.
Mm.
You've developed a leadership presence over the years that we both laugh about our early careers, how we led at those times. Like, oh my gosh, even like a supervisor that we've each had at different places, like, what were they thinking putting me in charge at that point in my life,
I
right?
know. I know. Can we just say sorry to all of our
Yeah.
supervisors in our 20s? We
Yeah.
thought we knew a lot more than we did, didn't we?
Thank you for giving me the open door to walk through, and thank you for not letting me know I fell on my face multiple times, but I know I did. In hindsight, you were very kind and generous to me. So,
Yes.
sincerely, I think we each are personally and professionally the leaders that we are, the people that we are, because of other people giving us open doors to walk through,
Yes.
giving us chances to try out our leadership wings. And will we soar or will we fall out of the nest and break something? I don't
Yes.
know. I've done both. So I think I am the leader I am today and the person I am today because others have said, hey, let's try this. I believe in you. Do this. And early on, I still remember early on one leadership thing that really blew me away. I was working, this is in the United States Navy.
Mm.
I was working in the United States Navy. And I worked in maintenance at this particular maintenance shop in an F-18 squadron.
Mm.
And the maintenance officer gave me an assignment to go out and do something on the flight line, where the jets are coming and going, and gave me a toolbox and told me to do something. And I said, I've never done that before. And he kind of gave me son, this is the United States Navy. We've given you the training you need. I trust you with that jet. Now go and
Wow.
do it.
Wow.
I still remember carrying this toolbox across the flight line going, I hope he knows what he's doing, trusting me, because that is a multi-million-dollar fighter aircraft. And in a few hours, a pilot, an officer in the United States Navy is going to strap that jet on and take off of an aircraft carrier. I hope this guy knows what he's doing, trusting me. That was the most sobering trust I ever had anybody place in me. That was leadership. That maintenance officer knew I could do it. I didn't know I could do it. And he trusted me. I was blown away by that. So that's kind of a metaphor of trust that I am very grateful that he and others have placed in me, and you, and hopefully everyone listening has some stories of, oh yeah, that person trusted me. We are who we are because we stand on the shoulders of others who've allowed us to learn from them what it means to trust, what it means to serve from the top down, servant leadership often called. And we are who we are because of those people allowed us to grow and make mistakes. We've made mistakes. I've made mistakes. I still make mistakes. But I think, first of all, I'm the leader I am today because people have trusted me and given me chances to fail.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. How about you? I want to turn that back around, can I?
Yeah. What was the question?
How did you, I think you asked me, how did I become the leader I am today? Or,
Yeah. I think it's this. I totally agree. We got a shot. We got a chance. And when we failed, not if, but when we failed and fell flat on our face, they helped pick us up and help face us forward and help us kind of evolve and grow. And I think about those early years, and I think we have the luxury of looking back because we're now in midlife, and we're both working with younger leaders, and we're mentoring a lot of different people. I'm coaching a lot of different people, and how many times do I see myself in my clients and the work that I do? And all I have is, well, compassion and empathy, gratefulness, and really growing humility, because there is such a learning curve, and leadership is not a one size fits all. We love to have all these leadership formulas and books and philosophies and ideas, but I tend to shy away from a lot of that. There's a lot of great stuff out there, and I definitely use it in the work that I do, but I first talk to the person in front of me, and I'm trying to do the work of, what does it look like to be in your shoes, and how do I meet you there? And then we'll go from there together. And there's myriad of tools out there. But it would be very arrogant of me to just throw tools at you and not really ask you questions and get to understand where your pain point is, where your challenge are, where your desire for growth is. And I think that's what I've learned over the years as I've worked with leaders. Well, I've learned from both of them. I've learned from arrogant leaders and I've learned from humble leaders. And there's a certain confidence that some of these arrogant leaders have that I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, but it's not very sustainable. It's the humility that I see in servant leadership that, man, they have the long haul and they've got the people that want to follow them. And that's who I started looking at very closely, who I wanted to work with and who I wanted to work under to make sure that I was growing myself in leadership that I wanted to. Which leads me to this idea that you and I have talked about on our couch with our lattes, with our little dog sitting between us, right? We want to finish strong. We want to finish well. And we don't want to finish tired, burned out, cynical, bitter, know-it-all. We want to finish as curious students with humility and meeting people where they're at and committed to understanding the human journey with people, not telling them the answers, but walking alongside with them so that they can engage their own answers that lie within them. And I think what we've started calling this is this idea of the whole self. What does it mean to lead with the whole self? So I think that's where we're going to take a little bit more of a deeper dive. And I think it's a phrase we started saying back and forth to each other, like we want to be a leader that leads with the whole self. And I think that's where I want to start. What's that mean when we talk about it like that?
Several years ago, my focus for the year, my singular word focus for the year was the word fidelity. And I really grew to like that word fidelity because it speaks to a oneness and a wholeness. And the opposite would be fragmentation or splintered. Fidelity is one whole integrous body or unit. A trueness to that unit is a fidelity to self. So I really grew to understand, enjoy, and take a deep personal dive in this exploration of fidelity. And to me, that's what the whole self is. It's saying, I want to be a person of fidelity. Whether I'm working out with somebody or I'm meeting somebody at a work conference, I'm meeting them at anywhere, out in front of my house, or I'm meeting some friends I've known for 20 years, or I'm meeting somebody new. I want to be the same person. I want to bring my whole self. I don't want to be different at a work conference than I am with some close friends. I want to be the same with my children as I am with strangers. I want to be true, fidelity. It's this wholeness of self. And I think that's a deep, deep journey with lots of layers to it. The metaphorical onion, layers, peeling it back to get to all of what the onion is. That's fidelity to me. That's the wholeness that leadership should flow from when it's flowing from the very best of us. Flowing from an integrated and whole and unified self.
Yeah. I think of the whole self too as really even more concrete: mind, body, heart, spirit. And we were just talking about this on our hike this morning. And by the way, I know empty nest was a little bit of a challenge and shift for us, but are we having fun or what?
I'm telling you, it has not been a terrible day.
We got to wake up, relax, talk about some things, go on a 4-mile hike, come back, have breakfast together. We didn't get interrupted once, did we?
No interruptions, just us.
And boy, I remember those years and we were lucky if we could have 10-minute conversations.
Yeah.
Not that we don't love our kids. We're crazy about you say that, Luke, but it's a different season and we're starting to really learn the joys of that.
Yeah.
But as we were hiking, I remember saying, I'm good at the mind, You know me, I'm reading 5 books at any given time and just voracious curiosity and love to read.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm good at the emotions, the heart stuff, everything from how I talk with people to reaching out to my own squad of people around me that are supportive of my heart and my emotions, to the spirit. My faith is important to me. So my spiritual walk and meditating and prayer and connecting with the divine in me and in all of us, I just have a strength in those 3 areas.
Mm-hmm.
What I realized, and it felt humbling, was this past year recognizing that my body was kind of taking me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, oh, that's insignificant. It's not as important as all these other 3 areas: the mind, the heart, the spirit. And learning to say, my body is speaking to me. Everything from getting sick to inflammation to aging to aches and pains to weight gain, all these different things were hitting me. And I just wanted a quick fix. I wanted it to just fix itself and move on.
Mm.
What I began to realize is that it was trying to tell me, stop pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Anything as little as stop taking more than 3 clients at a time, take a lunch break.
Yeah.
Stop pushing yourself to travel as much. Stop pushing yourself to sit down, start doing a stand-up desk. Hire a trainer to get some more help on building your muscle mass. Hire a nutritionist, see a massage therapist. I mean, we were laughing. I'm like, gosh, I have a team around me now. Because it's not because I love all this self-care. It's because I kind of needed some coaching in this area to remind myself that my body's trying to tell me something, and it's just as important as all these other areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And to let the body drift, but still keep reading all these books and still trying to be this type of person, it's an incongruence of self. It is not fidelity. And that's where you got to a point where you said, I can't ignore this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and right there, I just want to pause. I believe all of us have those moments where we say, or we need to say, pause, I can't ignore this anymore. And maybe it's something in our past we need to look into. Maybe it's personal woundedness in our own story. Maybe it's trauma we've experienced. Maybe it's how we're living now, out of sync. Mind, our body, our soul, and our spirit not working as one. Maybe we're struggling with addiction, but it's a secret. All of these things are things where it's a gift if we're willing. And I just want to applaud you. I know you're not doing this for applause, but I want to applaud you for saying, my body's out of whack right now. I can't push through and drag it along for the journey. I've got to pause and integrate myself as a whole. Oh, that's beautiful. We all need to do that. It's not a one and done. It's a continual bringing ourselves under the umbrella of wholeness and fidelity and integration of self. That's a beautiful story, Head.
Yeah, and it's humbling because I think I prided myself on all the other areas that I was very adept at and frankly very comfortable in. And this other piece was like, it's just annoying to me. Like, just keep up and get on board and keep the pace that I've set and just adapt to whatever I feed you. just be. You realize how unkind that is. Yeah. And for me, I had to start with a new self level of kindness of saying, how would my body respond to this invitation? Should I say yes to this? Should I say no to this? What would it mean physically for me to accept this opportunity or experience? That's a whole new thought for me. But it's important for me because it's where I'm at. And to your point, we each have those moments. So what's one of your moments?
Well, the one that stands out as a huge one for me was several years ago, almost 13, 14 years ago now. I was working And I realized I was growing and changing in my work and in my life. And while that was happening, the organization I was working for was growing and changing. And I started realizing this was happening. Who I am and what I want to be about and what this organization is. It started like this, and then it started becoming this. And I wasn't integrated in going to work. The very act of doing this work was now a stretch for me to say, I think I care about this. I'm trying to care about it, but really I don't. And that was a big part of me saying, I need to make a change. And ended up kind of walking out a journey of saying, I realized eventually I need to leave this organization and something new. And I found better alignment, becoming finding a place where I can be fully who I am. And I can essentially work as a whole person, integrated. And, there are seasons of life where sometimes, we're not always going to love our work. And really, it's like, hey, suck it up, buttercup. You need a paycheck. That's just life. So I'm not telling or encouraging anyone to quit their job, but I am encouraging folks to think and reflect, where am I not in sync? Where is it too far of a stretch for me to continue doing what I'm currently doing? Is it how we treat our body? Is it how we feel when we go to work? Is it the dichotomy of how we treat our clients and how we treat our kids? Those things all are clamoring to us and crying for integration, for us to be whole. And I just urge myself, you, and others, let's not ignore those signs. Let's listen to those signs of fragmentation.
What are some of those signs of fragmentation? You've probably seen them in yourself, of course, but you start to recognize them in others too, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the one in myself I feel is I start feeling deep frustration when I'm not integrated, when I'm not whole. I had a friend I was talking to several years ago, and in that conversation, I just started feeling very frustrated and realized this friend and I had really grown apart. And our friendship lasted several years. But where this friend was headed and where I was headed, I wasn't in the journey with that anymore. And it was hard for me to even acknowledge that myself, because I'm not a person who lets go of friendship easily. I still have friends from childhood. But the frustration I was feeling, and I felt that same frustration at the workplace. So I think sometimes an inner frustration, a longing for more. There's a really good book that I read years ago and have reread a couple of times called Journey of Desire by John Eldridge. The beauty of this book is he raises up this idea of our inner desires as a compass to guide us. And to follow the desires that are deeply placed in us by a creator, or that have evolved in us as we've become who we are. These desires are a compass. And when I'm not following the compass of trueness in me, I feel it. So frustration, back to your question, what are some of the signs? Anger, lack of peace, lack of sleep. Being out of whack financially is one that is really hard for me to get sleep. If my finances aren't in order, I can't sleep. I literally will lie in bed, head on the pillow, and all these things are happening in my head because I'm not a unified whole. I haven't done the housekeeping necessary to be true to myself. So those types of signs. I have a friend / therapist who she's a brilliant therapist, and I was talking to her probably a year ago, and she said, Darren, to deal with addiction is to be human. And I was like, wait, say that again?
Yeah.
And she said, to be addicted is to be human.
Yeah.
every human looks for comfort somewhere.
Yes.
And that comfort can very easily be a form of an addiction. So,
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's screen,
Mm-hmm.
these little ones, or the
Mm-hmm.
big ones,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's alcohol, whether it's food,
Mm-hmm.
whatever vice we might struggle with, to be human is to be addicted. And if I dig deeper into that, I think for many of us, that addiction, that numbing that we're seeking,
Mm-hmm.
flows out of a lack of wholeness
Mm.
and out of a lack of integration and fidelity.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that means we need to go back in our story and do therapy, do counseling, great, deal with it, or deal with our body,
Mm-hmm.
bring something in alignment. All of these things affect who we are, and who we are affects our topic, leadership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and leading with your whole self. And
Yeah.
when we give in to leaving pieces of ourself behind, that's what happens when we are turning to something. We leave parts of ourselves behind. And I'm going to speak for myself. I think as I gave a little bit more attention to the physical aspect of me, I was using food as a comforting tool to get me through my day, to white knuckle through basically too many things I was saying yes to. And it was harder to see because it was all beautiful things.
Right.
It's easy when it looks dysfunctional or toxic or dark. You're like, oh, easy to say no to that. But when you have a lot of beautiful opportunities in front of you and a lot of beautiful people asking you for things and doing things, you want to say yes. And for me, I'm a recovering people pleaser. So the body was keeping the score. The body was saying, have stopped pushing through.
Yeah.
And now I have such a gratitude and gratefulness for it. But you saw some of it. It was almost like coming off of a drug, because I didn't like all the emotions that were coming up. I was exhausted. I was frustrated. I was kind of thrown a fit, mad that life was not working on my terms and my body was not performing the way I wanted it to perform. And I realized how silly that was, to be honest.
Right.
And again, going back to the word of unkindness, and here it is, I work with people all the time of being kind to yourself. But I think it's that awareness of what is flagging. And for me, it was fatigue. It was a little bit of like something on a scale of 1 to 10 with emotions should be like a 1 or a 2. And it was floating up to a 6 or a 7. And I could tell I shouldn't be this emotionally reactive about this issue. It's a 1 or a 2. But it was like I had gotten almost dysregulated with some of the everything coming at me. And my body was just saying, and it was beautifully simple once I started listening to it, you need a nap. You need a pause. You need a lunch break. And of course, I saw a lot more of that when I had my sabbatical, which I'm fresh off of. And, I've embedded that in my life, my work cycle for the last probably 10 years. You and I both know my tendency, probably one of my addictions, some past addictions I'm recovering from, is work. And I just don't want to turn to anything that leaves my sense of self behind. And so as we return to this idea of bringing your whole self to the table, whether it's to your team and leadership, or whether it's to your home or your social circles or wherever you're a part of, that's the best gift people want. And here's the tricky thing. Once you start doing that and living out of that a little bit more, I don't want to sound judgy here, but I got to say, I start noticing when something feels off with other people. I'm like, okay, something feels off here. I'm sensing your frustration. I'm sensing your fatigue. I'm sensing your depression. I'm sensing something, and it doesn't feel good because the whole self is there. And then I wonder, how many times did I participate probably in relationships not aware of it because I didn't have my whole self there. So it's a little tricky, but it's almost like a warning. I want to say, you're not crazy. You're going to be a little bit more heightened sensitivity to it. And when I was sitting down talking to someone recently, and they were so fun and exciting to talk to, but I think they talked straight for 30 minutes. And to me, as much as I enjoy them, there was an anxiety there of like trying to just get everything out. And I thought, you don't need to have any anxiousness. Like, just say a couple thoughts, let me respond a couple thoughts. And I literally had to say, hey, I want to return to something you said. And it was like 10 minutes ago, but it was like, you left me back here. My whole self is sitting here and I'm trying to respond to your whole self, but I'm getting fragmented parts of it. And again, that's not to judge anyone else, but it creates a heightened sense of awareness there on how we engage with the relationships in front of us, whether it's in leadership or whether it's with just social circles or people we're living with. And I know with adult kids, we've had these conversations.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're going to, I think one of the things you introduced quite a bit is we're going to live with margins. We're going to share talking spaces. We are not going to step on each other's words. These are all values just in our home that allows people to hang on to their whole sense of self and bring their whole self to that relationship.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and you've done a good job modeling that to the kids, how to take time outs. You know, when they were younger, we'd say, hey, not even, a timeout is sometimes referred to in parenting circles as a punishment. Hey, you go time out.
Yeah.
No, not a punishment timeout. You just seem like you need to spend some time with yourself. I mean, that's a timeout that's just a gift. You just need to go spend some time with yourself. And whether you are an introvert, an extrovert, I don't care. That's a separate conversation. We all need to just spend some time with ourselves. And in that self time, sometimes we see ourselves a little more accurately. Or the noise quiets down and we realize we have permission to be honest. Maybe I can't be honest with anybody else, but I can be honest with me. So the gift of finding ourselves starts with spending some time with ourselves. I had a friend ask me a question. He was talking to a group of us. It wasn't particular to me, but I took it very personally because I think it's a great question. But the question is, what is your effect on people? What is your effect on people? And go spend an hour with yourself and see what your effect is on yourself. I mean, that's a leadership mirror right there, right? Am I bringing, if I'm spending time with myself, am I bringing a peace for myself? Or am I bringing anxiety, worry, and stress? Can I even sit for an hour and quiet myself? So what is my effect on myself and what is my effect on others? Those are beautiful leadership questions that I think lead to the integration of self.
I love that. A really practical exercise I do with all the leaders I work with is, and they have so much coming at them all the time. I said, as you're putting your hand on that door to enter into that next meeting that you probably have 8 of them lined up back to back all day with all these executive high-powered leaders that I work with, I said, if you put your hand on that door, just give yourself 10 seconds to say, what am I going to bring into this room?
So good.
What is it that I want to offer these people? But it's just a couple seconds of reorienting and asking that question will shift the whole meeting of the room. And a lot of times we go from meeting to meeting, carrying over the baggage of all these other meetings. And I'm telling you, get to meeting number 8. And it is not a pretty meeting. So it's that intentionality and that responsibility. And even when I go travel and work at these places, I ask for, if I could just have a private room where I can just shut the door, even if it's like 2 minutes in between sessions and between the conference that I lead and do there, I'm able to just regroup and say, all right, I just came out of a 2-hour workshop. I'm getting ready to go into another 2-hour workshop. What do I want to leave behind? And what do I want to take in? And it's like getting my mind straight to make sure I bring in that right energy. And I'm very responsible. I'm taking responsibility, and I haven't always done this, but learning the value of that, to take that responsibility to choose the energy you're going to bring in that moment. And more importantly, how do I bring my whole self into this meeting and not be a little distracted by the previous meeting I just did? And if I can't do it, what do I need to change in my life to get myself the ability to be able to do that and to do that authentically?
Hmm. Yeah. I love that word authentically that you just finished with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if we step up on a stage, of course, we want to be at our best.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned that word polished earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what we need more than being polished is we need to be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Our leadership needs to flow out of an authentic self so that who I am is the same, whether I'm coaching kids, hanging out with my wife, or leading a team at an organization.
Mm-hmm.
I am the same whole person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a close friend of mine was a pastor's kid and talked about driving to church in the car and the stress of that drive to church. And dad's flopping around and, hey, you can't do that and the dad was the pastor and he'd get to church and open the door and hop out. Hey, happy Sunday. I want to just say, whoa, time out. What an inauthentic scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so many levels that was hard on that individual pastor.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't true to those attending that church. And it
Mm-hmm.
certainly gave a horrendous message to the kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to have the fidelity and integrity of self to say, I will live and lead authentically. It's
Yeah.
who, let's all strive for that, right?
Yeah. And to your point earlier, going back to that me time, we need that.
Mm-hmm.
In my allegory of the tire swing and the girl with the bracelets, I call it the star time. She spends time under the stars, and that's when she hears the voice that reminds her of who she is and what she does not need to carry anymore.
Yeah.
But you can't hear it when you're in a crowd and with people and people talking at you and with you, and and you're busy relating and you're busy reading the room.
Yeah.
But when you take some me time and to be able to do kind of this wellness check, how am I doing mentally? How am I doing emotionally? How am I doing spiritually? How am I doing physically? And that's a lot of what will help us not only bring our whole self to the table, but really care for our whole self. So it authentically shows up. You're not faking it and saying, okay, I'm going to pull myself together just for this experience or for this meeting or for this talk. I'm going to live it out. And whether I'm going to get a cup of coffee or whether I'm going to go, jump on stage and talk to leaders, it should be the same feeling. It should be this sense of I'm at peace and I am focused on the person in front of me and I'm ready to give and I'm ready to listen and I'm ready to care versus I'm distracted or I'm thinking of something else or I'm busy trying to show my abilities,
Right.
right? Because of insecurity or fear, which we've all fallen into. But as we begin to age, my hope is that listeners, you will hear bringing your sense of whole self to anything is so liberating.
Mm-hmm.
It's liberating, isn't it, Darren?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it'll set you free.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely set you free to be the same authentic self no matter where you are. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned something earlier, and I know some people are kind of in this crossroads. They're listening. You felt like you had run the end of the course there at the company you were at, and you knew you needed to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, we were talking, and I realized I don't need to leave anything. I just need to readjust things. So you have both sides of the coin there when you reevaluate. Sometimes it really is a pretty dramatic answer of you need to leave and move on and do something else. Other times it's like a tiny tweak. Like I had to reschedule my day and it was so much better.
Yeah.
So I guess I want to ask that question. What's required of you when you are in the middle of making a big decision that changes the course of your life? What's required of you?
I think the first idea that comes to mind is we don't do well under pressure.
Mm.
We tend to have obscured thinking, and I want to say the thing that's required most, I believe, is time and permission.
Mm.
I mean, I would just want to write a big permission slip and hand it out to folks and say, you have permission to be you.
Mm.
You have permission to make a change.
Mm.
You have permission. This is a big one. You have permission to change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who she was punished as a kid if she changed her mind in her family. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't. You said this last year. You said this. Well, that was last year. I'm
Mm-hmm.
here now. And it was an epiphany for her to realize she's safe to change her mind now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so permission, and along with that permission, time.
Mm.
We don't change overnight. We don't grow overnight. What we can do rather quickly is when we have our clarity, we've given ourselves time to reflect, think, and we have our clarity,
Mm-hmm.
we can pivot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not so hard driving in one direction that we can't change course.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have our clarity, we might need to nudge just a few degrees left or right. It might be a subtle change. It might be we need to pull a 180-degree turn.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do that, let's take the time. Let's reflect. Let's get our clarity. Let's give ourselves permission to explore.
Mm.
Yeah. That's the first thing that comes to mind to me is just time.
Yeah. It makes me think of my first book I wrote, The Life You're Made For. You know, it's 18 chapters. Chapter 1, I call it Restorative Rest, but it ends with the permission slip. Chapter 1. It's like, I
Yeah.
give myself the permission to rest.
Yes.
Why? Because I did not want them reading chapters 2 through 18, trying to make a decision under pressure. I know most people are at a crossroad when they pick up that book or when they come to me.
Yeah.
And I thought, how many times have we made these decisions under pressure, especially in our younger years, where we're like, that's not authentic. That's not bringing our whole self.
Yeah.
That's hands in your back. That's telling you, that's shame messages. It's telling you to hurry up, make a decision. It's telling you you're not enough. To be able to slow down and say, you know what, I'm going to take the time I need.
Mm-hmm.
I love that because I remember even, I'm thinking back on that experience. You gave yourself the time you needed. We both did.
Mm-hmm.
But it gave us the clarity that this was the right move to make, but it was a scary move.
Mm-hmm. It sure was.
And I don't think we could have made that scary of a move to move into like an independent consultant world from a nice, wonderful, padded corporate world. And I don't think we could have done that if we didn't have that clarity that said, yeah, when we slowed down and gave ourselves both the time to think through this, and we gave ourselves the permission to get in touch with our desires and what we really want, that became a really powerful foundation for this is the right next best thing. And of course, with our faith being important to us, we invited God into that whole conversation and felt like this is being where we're being led and guided.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think the other piece along with that is we could have done something else. I could have hung in there and kept that job for another year or 2 or 5, 20.
Mm-hmm.
But what would have required of me would have been a compromise,
Mm-hmm.
a big compromise, or a series of little compromises.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just want to put that word compromise out there and ask folks to take a look at where have the little compromises possibly happened. Because all it takes is a little compromise. You know, you could have a beautiful foundation that a building's built on. You get a little bit of water under that foundation, it starts washing soil away. And the soil's gone, and just a small part of that foundation gets compromised, and you start having collapse, instability, structural issues, things happening up here. But the real problem is the tiny little compromise that happened under the foundation. So where might we be compromising in ways that are undermining us and love and care for ourselves enough to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I need to do something here. I need to make a change. And it permeates who we are. That
Mm-hmm.
whole self that we become when we
Mm-hmm.
listen and respond to those little compromises rather than ignore them, it builds us into better and better men and women,
Mm-hmm.
better husbands, better fathers, better employees, better employers, better leaders. And that trueness to self, that fidelity,
Mm.
wholeness.
Mm.
Yes, that's where we want to live and lead.
That's beautiful. So, what would you say to leaders who are struggling with bringing their whole sense of self, their authentic sense of self, and to either their workspaces, their home spaces, or
Mm-hmm.
they're listening to this right now, and it's something that's starting to kind of pull on them, and they're realizing there's, we all know truth and we hear it.
Right.
So, I guess what kind and encouraging voice would you offer them when they're starting to understand that there's some areas of focus that they maybe want to give attention to in their own lives?
Yeah. I think the thing that has helped me, and I'll offer this because it has helped me, is to not think of change as binary. It's not like a light switch. I don't flip it on or off.
Mm-hmm.
Change happens in an environment.
Mm.
Change that happens in my life or anyone's life is in a very quantum environment.
Mm.
So many different things happening
Mm-hmm.
at different levels. And we need to understand that change happens through intentionality and little daily decisions and step by step. And then finally, these things that might have been incongruent, now it's fixed. It's the change happens little by little. And we can change the trajectory of our lives and our leadership and where we're headed 1 degree at a time, half a degree at a time. Nudge, nudge here, nudge there, but it happens slowly. But more important than are you this or that is what direction are you headed?
Yeah. I love that you said that because I work with such high-powered activist leaders. Like sometimes I get off the phone and you see me, I'm like, I am just exhausted because of all the vision and the energy they have. And I have a funny role sometimes, which is saying, yes, that's wonderful, but what are the baby steps to get us there? You've got 300 employees that are watching you, 500 employees that are watching you. You've got it's like the Titanic you're trying to turn around. And these are beautiful visions, but people need a pacing for how change happens. And how we offer that to ourselves, how we offer that to our teams is critical.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about my younger years, it's probably what I got wrong the most. Was that I was like, this is a great idea. Let's get it changed today. When it might have been more of a 6-month process, but I didn't have a barometer for that. And I think as I've gotten older, I've realized change takes time. And it reminds me of a president who just texted me, 2 days ago, just recently. And she said, well, I asked her about how this meeting went. And sometimes these meetings can be a little complicated. I'll use that word. And she texted back and said, well, in your words, it's all moving in the right direction. And I knew what that meant. It probably wasn't on a scale of 1 to 10. It probably wasn't a 10, but it wasn't a 0. It probably went from a 5 to a 6.
Yeah.
And it's in process. And that idea that things are in process, but to really evaluate, and it's one of my favorite questions I ask leaders. I'm like, well, hang on, is it trending in the right direction?
Yes.
It may not be where you want to be today. And I get it. I so get it. Your vision is phenomenal. And I'm on board with you 100%. However, it's got to be paced with the people that you're working with and the people that you might be living with. Everything needs to have this pacing that honors the relationship and people's capacity for understanding change and also buying into change. And so there's an evolution to how we grow. And every evolution is different. And the bigger the group is that you're trying to get to evolve, the more challenging complexities there are around that. And that goes for yourself. Sometimes we need more time for evolving, and sometimes we're able to do it pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think with these tools and the things we've talked about, it's a great framework for this direction in the
Yeah.
topic of the year. I'm so excited about this topic and some of your guests you've got lined up.
Yeah.
It's so many good discussions will be happening.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to growing in my leadership personally from tuning in.
Yes. Yeah, I am too. I learn with every conversation. So thanks, Darren, for just joining me today and help me kick off this season. We'll have, I think over 20 podcasts for the 2025, 2026 season here. And we're just going to really enjoy the conversations. These are all people I personally know and vetted. And again, I am proud to have them on my show to ask them, what does it mean for you to bring your whole self to leadership? And it's going to have so many different faces to it, so many different topic points, so many different areas of focus, because we're also beautifully complex and beautifully unique. So thanks for joining us. And any last parting words, Dare?
I'm excited. I just want to tune in. I'm going to learn and grow a lot this season. I like the word season. So, and
Yes.
the fall. I was just sharing with you yesterday, Heath.
Yeah.
The fall feels like it's such a great time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Schools start. Um, the sports world has got all these neat crescendos happening. We're getting close to the Major League Baseball playoff season.
Yeah.
And the NFL is starting and college football is starting and students are back and enjoying this next year and the weather's about to turn. It feels like this moment
Yeah.
is rich with possibility.
Yes.
So I'm just excited for this season and this topic. So thank you.
Well, thank you for helping me flesh it out. You've been on the receiving end of so many of my ideas. And I thought, what was the new kind of emphasis I wanted for this year? And I am so excited. I've already booked several people for my show. So join us, everyone, and respond. You have my email, coaching@heatherpenny. Would love to hear from you. Would love to hear any ideas or insights you might have. We've got a lot of people weighing in, and it's just really fun to hear what it is, some of your takeaways and what you're thinking. And who knows, might be the focus of my next season. So thanks so much. And we are cheering you on.